Um, well, I know pretty much how I feel is it's very intense. I feel like there's gonna be so much going on right now. And it's so crazy because it's supposed to be Leo season, it's supposed to be all this brightness and joy, and then you have all this darkness coming in. So I just feel like it's a lot of introspection needing to go on right now. Especially I think it was my first time really going through a Venus retrograde because I've never thought about it. Like I always hear Mercury retrograde. Okay. Like actually, I don't know. I think it's because actually I'm in a relationship this time. So and I can feel its effects everywhere. And since it's like happening in my 8th house, I feel the very high ups and the very low lows.
Oh yeah. So that's like when it's in the 8th house, it's like retrograde twice because it's like Scorpio, the 8th house is always digging deep. So yeah, and I'm digging deep. Like I'm like now, ever since when Venus, before she went retrograde, she was in Cancer before she went to Leo. I was like, I'm gonna cut every single cord. I'm cutting all cords. I'm getting rid of everything, banishing everything. Like I'm trying to dig deep and get rid of everything. So yeah, retrograde is gonna be like retrograde Venus in the 8th house. Definitely gonna be like that.
Exactly. That was definitely new to me. And then I think right now. Wait, what did I say?
Oh, nothing.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I know right now, I think almost all of them are in fire signs right now. So it's like everyone knows fire signs. First thing is initiative, taking action. So it's like I feel like we're getting all these messages and then we're needing to act on them. And I don't know, I have this feeling that all of this is happening because we already know since 2020 we've been like going through this whole redo, and then what we had February 22nd, 2022, that was when Pluto went through its return, which definitely reset everything as well. So now the real Hebrew calendar, following the real one, the new year is about to come up September 17th. So I feel like all this is trying to nip in the bud, and with Venus retrograde, I know that's like trying to reevaluate what you value. So really trying to figure out how you're going to, and what you're going to take into this new year following like the actual year. And then cutting cords. You were saying cutting cords.
Yeah. With the main fire sign, you know, all this, what's been happening in Aries, I didn't even realize that they were, most of the planets are in fire signs because Rahu and Jupiter and Uranus are in Aries, and Leo and Mercury are in Mars and Mercury are in Leo. So there is a lot of energy there, and even the Saturn in retrograde Saturn is even still aspecting Jupiter in Aries. So yeah, there's a lot of connection to fire. And go ahead. Were you done with yours? One second, because I don't want to take it over.
Oh yeah, I was good. Other than you already said Uranus is in Aries too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's just it's a lot of change in the fire sign. You know, Uranus, and I've just been studying Uranus. Uranus is so strange because it's, you know, it's on the side. It's a planet that's on the side. And that means that the connections and meanings to it mean like it's the only planet that's like that, you know. So it's cause for like radical change, out of the box thinking, radical evolutions and revolutions and things like that. So yeah, it's a lot, and because Rahu, the North Node, is there, that's the direction that we're supposed to be going. Is into new beginnings with Aries there. Yeah.
Is it Rahu's in Aries right now too? I did not know that.
Rahu is leaving Aries in October 31st.
Oh damn.
Yep. Then it's going to be going to Pisces.
Mm.
So what I was going to talk about when it comes to action is Mars and Venus being in Leo.
Yes.
And that's okay, backing up. The new moon is going to be in Ashleisha August 16th. I think that's Wednesday. And I think the time is 2:38. And so Ashleisha is not Scorpio, it's in Cancer. And Mars and Venus are in Leo, the second house, one house away from Cancer, and that's the money house that represents accumulated wealth. Or so Mars is action and Mercury is communication. Leo is creative self-expression.
Mm-hmm.
And let me say see what I wrote down. We might want to take more action toward the creative and expressive side of life, especially in business and in our careers. That's that.
Why do you feel like that?
Because basically the main reason is because Mars is in Leo.
Mm-hmm.
So Mars is action, Leo is creative self-expression. In the fifth house away from Cancer is Scorpio.
Mm-hmm.
Mars rules Scorpio. And the 10th house away from Cancer is Aries, and Mars rules Aries. And the 5th house is also creative self-expression because it's ruled by Leo. And the 10th house is work environment.
Mm-hmm.
So that's I see how those connections can mean that for some of us, especially if we have our moon in Leo or if Leo is in our first house.
Definitely. Definitely all the fire placements are. I think with all this transformation going on or transitioning going on, I think a lot of the fire placements are kind of in a benefic place. I feel like they'll be pretty protected during this time. Especially Jupiter. Yeah, Jupiter is definitely in Aries.
Yeah.
But then your moon is Ashleisha, isn't it?
My moon is in my D10 is in Ashleisha.
Oh, okay.
And my D1 is in Purnabasu.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because I would say, how would that affect you? Very much so.
That's how it's affected me with the creative, with the being more creative, wanting to write more. I've been wanting to write more fiction. Definitely do a lot more of that. But I was saying it from the first house. I'm talking about what's going on with if we put Cancer in the first house, and then what's going on for me will have some meaning for everybody else because my moon is in Cancer and I have Cancer in my first house and my D10. Yeah. So how have you been feeling as far as creativity, or it could also be education? How have you been feeling when it comes to the energy leading up to the new moon in Ashleisha?
Oh, I've been feeling great. I've really been pushing all of so this is all about financial, especially for me, happening in my second 8th house, which is those two, that money axis. So
yeah,
it's definitely pushing me more towards only focusing on my passions. I know anything I don't want, I'm discovering I'm having an impassion for, or I'm becoming apathetic towards it. And I think that could be happening for a lot of people also during this time, because I know Pluto is going to be in Capricorn, which is going to be opposing the new moon in Cancer. So
okay,
that can definitely develop a lot of I'm no longer dealing with this type of mentality. This isn't for me. I'm letting it go. The whole thing we talk about, killing a part of yourself, killing what no longer serves you.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
That's definitely how I've been feeling. And as far as education, I mean, I'm still in school, still thriving. I love it.
All right, that's good. That's what you said has something to do with, I wrote down too, like letting go of relationships that are no longer good for us. That's
Mm,
something that we want to focus on, because when I was looking at the meaning of Ashleisha, it's represented by the 12 snake.
mhm.
And um, the snake has a tendency to hold on to things that are hurting it.
Right.
It shows really deep insecurities. You know, when you're just holding on to something when you know it's hurting you, but you're still holding on because you just have to hold on. You can't let it go. A lot of that is going to be happening during this new moon. It's for a lot of reasons. The retrogrades have a lot to do with it. So during the time of the new moon, retrograde Venus is going to be in Cancer with the sun and the moon.
Mhm.
So Cancer, Venus rules Libra, and Libra is where K2 is.
Mhm.
And K2 cuts things off. You know, it helps us it's the tail end of the snake, actually. So it helps us to cut things off that aren't serving us so we can elevate and go higher. So it's also okay, so the new moon is in Cancer. Cancer represents family, and Libra is 4 houses away from Cancer. So it also represents family. So it could be letting go and cutting off of relationships with family specifically that aren't serving us anymore. Or that could be helping to create insecurities in our lives, in ourselves.
Oh yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with that. Especially like what you were saying. I was just thinking about that earlier. What you were talking about letting go, or how Ashleisha has a tendency to hold on to things that hurt us. And I was thinking about that. I was like, a good way to think about that is like seeing a beautiful thorned rose, and you want to hold it, but it's so pretty, and you still want it, but it's causing you so much pain to hold on. And like a good quote that I know comes with that is sometimes it hurts. No, sometimes it hurts more to hold on than just let go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and especially like you're talking about, because I also wrote down repress. That Ashleisha tends to, with it being the snake, it represents a lot of repressed energy as it's going over into its fullest potential, as you know, it's supposed to be like the Kundalini energy as it rises, but it's the coiled snake, so it hasn't risen just yet. So anyone who is in situations where you feel stuck, this is definitely the time, and this new moon representing taking this shit and starting something new will push you to get out of those types of situations.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely agree with that. I forgot, and Ashley just known as the clinging star.
Yeah. Yeah. We were talking about it in class last night, and Pastor Bernadette, mom, she was talking about how, and you even said that we were talking about it on the phone, and it's something it always slips my mind, but it does have a lot to do with health too. The snakes that we see. What is that? A caduceus?
Yeah.
I forgot the name of it. Okay.
Right. Yeah, caduceus.
Okay. Yeah, with the two snakes, a lot of people. If you have a water sign, like in your first house, or very strong or prominent in your house, it's going to represent healing. I've seen it in so many people's charts where they have stuff. They have like a moon or a sun in Cancer, and they've definitely worked in healthcare. Like they've definitely been a nurse before. So there is a strong connection to that. People like somebody in our church has their moon in Cancer, and they work in the hospital.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I don't want to say what it is.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so with the new moon being in Ashleisha and retrograde Venus being in Ashleisha, what do you feel like that means for healing?
I say that one more time.
With the new moon being in Ashleisha and retrograde Venus being in Ashleisha at the day of the new moon, what do you think that means for us in general concerning healing?
For one, I will say one part, I feel like this is definitely a huge point that as far as health goes, it's very important to focus on wellness, overall well-being. With Venus representing pleasures and what we like to feel, our desires, I feel like self-care and self-nurturing is one of the most important aspects to focus on for our healing, or to help us take care of our overall healing. And then secondly, which I remember reading, I was like, this can go either one or two ways. And I'm not saying this like in a negative way, like, oh, either you're going to be healed or you're not. But with this energy taking place, it is very important to be very cautious of your health, because Ashleisha does represent the snakes. And with snakes, like I said, it's a caduceus. It's representing medicine, health. That's a symbol of health. But snakes also represent poison. So just like when someone gets bitten by a snake, that same bite that poisons can be used to heal, but if it's not, then it's just used to be killed. So I feel like Ashleisha is a sign that I like to call the anti-hero. If anyone knows the anti-hero, that's like you have the hero and then you have the villain. The anti-hero is kind of like Batman or Deadpool. It's somebody who may do good deeds, but they're not really a good person.
Right.
So, and that's kind of the energy of Ashleisha, where it's like it's made to do all these amazing things. It has the capacity to do all these amazing things, but you have to channel it in the right way. So I feel like you should definitely pay attention to how you're taking care of yourself. Get rid of anything that is keeping you from doing those things, and really also monitor, I think really mainly negative influences on your health, like bad habits in particular. Trying to get rid of anything that you think is standing away in that way, which basically goes back to the point of what I'm saying. Ashleisha can go good or bad because it's you who has the capacity to do it. So bad habits standing in the way, what are you doing that's hindering your own health? Just like self-nurturing, self-care, what are you doing to help your health? It's not about medicine, it's not about the doctor, it's not about all these other things. Right now it's important for you to take the reins and the power to decide how healthy you want to be.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And I think especially if you have, like if you're in your moon dasha or antradasha, if you have Cancer in your first house or your sun is in Cancer, loving yourself right now is really, really, really important. Just like I'm gonna call you Khalil. Just like Dwight. Just like Dwight was saying, because it's two Cancer represents love, and so does Venus. And with Venus being retrograde, it would be a lot of reflecting on ways that we could have gave self-love to ourselves more, where we can see, well, if I would have been taking more care of myself, not in a judgmental way, but just being observant. Like if I was loving myself the way that I know that I deserve, then some of these things that I'm dealing with as far as my health wouldn't be this way, you know. So and then with it being the new moon, it's a newness in the way that we see our self-love in our health. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that out. Glad you brought that out, because I probably would have forgot that the self-love part. Because I'm always thinking about money, money and creativity. I don't know if I had anything else as far as what's going on with the new moon in Ashleisha. That's basically what I got. I just know that there's going to be a lot of reflecting on relationships with family and letting go of what we need to let go of.
Definitely. I also got what you said earlier about all the signs really being in Leo, and it's Leo season, and it's just such a huge time about self-expression. So ways to take care of yourself and nurture yourself does not have to be tangible ways. Like even in herbalism
Right.
and all, it's really just have fun, be happy. What can you design a plan that you will enjoy doing so that you can stick to it? So that's because Ashleisha, I know it's also in the constellation is ruled by, no, it's created by 5 stars. The number 5 represents fun, adventure, and just enjoying yourself. So that's what this season will just also be about. It's really just smile. Happiness, laughter is literally the best medicine.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another way I got that.
Okay. All right. I like that. So you haven't so the people can know, can you tell people what got you started in astrology and why you love doing it?
I don't even remember how I got started in astrology. I just remember a long time. It sounds weird. So I was drawn to it, but not realizing I was drawn to it. It was just happening. Like I would look it up. And I remember when I was maybe 5, 6 years old, I thought it was so interesting. This is when I was looking at tropical astrology or Western astrology. And I would see that I'm an Aries, but I'm like, I'm not an Aries. I like what Libra says. I'm a Libra. So, and I would always follow that. And I would just say, that's me, that's me. But then as I got more, I would read sometimes. And I was like, no, I think I'm going to follow what I actually am. I'm going to say I'm an Aries. And then I finally started learning more about it. And when I finally think junior year of high school is when I decided to, I was trying to figure out, I started hearing people post stuff about other placements and other stuff. And me just being who I was, I got very curious. So I would look up all these extra things and how all these planets make up who you really are. You're not one sign or you're not one placement. And things started making sense, things started clicking. And at that time, so according to tropical astrology, I'm going to say tropical astrology, I have Mercury in Pisces. People don't know that means I tend to float through life when it comes to your Mercury is like how you think and how you process information. So I pretty much float through life really almost unaware of who I really was. I also had Neptune in my first house, which definitely made me unaware of who I was.
You had Neptune in your first house?
In tropical astrology.
Oh, okay. I think I would have remembered that because I got Neptune in my first
house. So it helped me really learn who I was, because me being the middle child and so spiritual, I was the black sheep. I felt like I just really didn't know. So astrology helped me find a place to learn who I was. And then of course I learned about Vedic, and I learned more and more, and then I kept expanding upon that knowledge, and now here it is. 10 years later. And I've learned so much, and I just keep on doing it because it helped me, and now I'm noticing how I can use it to help other people. And a lot of people are just opening up and becoming more open-minded to it. So it's keeping me engaged, and I love it.
Okay. What do you think the biggest thing that you learned, of what you think is one of the biggest things that you learned from digging deeper into astrology?
Mainly my weaknesses. Because I used to tell people, I don't like when I would try to suggest Vedic astrology, and people would be like, no, that's not me. Or even when people sometimes don't know much about Western, and they would just look at them like, yeah, they're half right. But astrology is not about you looking at something and say, I like that, that's me. It's about you learning yourself so you can know your shadow self, know all the things that you have to work on as well. So it really helped me and really shine a light on issues and my faults and weaknesses, especially when I learned more about my moon sign, my Pluto, Chiron, and 12th house.
Yeah, Chiron really open your eyes. It really will. It's almost the same. Almost for me, when I started learning it, I was like, and I said this in the classes, it's like everything that people told you was wrong with you, you started to see, that wasn't really what was wrong with me. That was what was right with me. I just didn't know what to do with it. You know? that's what astrology really, it was like confirmed. It's like the best friend that you needed. Like, no, girl, this
Exactly.
ain't wrong. You just need to do this. You just need to do that, then you'll be all right.
Exactly. Because
So-
I was like, literally, like, it's a superpower. So I love it.
Right, it is. It is. It helped me learn a lot about the way that I think, a lot about my purpose, get clearer on my consistent health issues. It's just so helpful. And yeah, I'm glad that I got into it. I think that when I got into it, I didn't really get into it on purpose. I had always wanted to know the more like real deep spiritual secrets of life, but I feel like it would be disrespectful to my parents to like learn everything that I wanted to learn in their household. It's like as soon as I turned 18, I was like, I'm going to the library. I'm Googling everything. I'm learning everything I can about spirituality because I felt like it was okay since I was 18. I was really drawn to gods and goddesses in ancient Egypt, and through that's what kind of led me to astrology. And yeah, I stopped off at learning chakras and learning about auras, but as I kept going back to astrology, I started with tropical astrology too, with Western astrology, and then I kept hearing Vedic astrology was more accurate. Well, at first I didn't know I was learning both at the same time because I didn't know what I was listening to. So I was learning from Vedic astrologers and Western astrologers, so I was confused at first. So I didn't know what to do. So then I was like, okay, I'm gonna focus on Western astrology. But then when I got into Vedic astrology, it was so much detail because then you have the dashas, you have the antardashas, you have the nakshatras and the padas. There's so much more you can dig into than Western astrology for me because it's different. It's not the some people can connect with Western astrology more, and it's nothing wrong with that. But for me, Vedic astrology is it was the best for me. All right, so where can people find you, sir?
You can find me on Facebook at Roman Sage. I'm pretty sure like no one else has that name like that. So I'm on there. I am on Instagram. My name on that is Roman Sage. And actually pretty much everything. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, all of it is the same thing. Roman Sage, ROMANSAGE. But also, you can look up Black Hippie Flow. And that's me.
Look up what?
Black Hippie Flow.
Okay. All right. And you can find me mainly on YouTube at Chantilly Astrology and Tarot. That's CHANTILLY_astrology_and_tarot. Did you want to share anything before we go?
No, I think that's pretty much it. Oh, the last thing I think I put in my notes was back to how we said most of the signs are all in fire signs right now. I also realized, so between all of them, we have 4 signs in cardinal signs, 4 in fixed signs. So pretty much what I got from that is out of all this, learn what you need to work on, learn what you need to get rid of, and take initiative to actually do those things, and then stay with it once you finally got it. Because that fixed energy is just literally, it's stable. So once you got it, stick with it. What works, works.
That's right. All right. So hopefully we'll be able to do this again for the full moon or whatever else astrological pops up that we would like to talk about. All right. So we will talk to you guys later.
All right.